Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bridges and Beacons podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Meyerson. And oh my goodness, my friends, I'm so excited today because I'm speaking with my friend, Melissa Corley Carter. And before we start, I have to read you her bio because you're just going to be like, wait, what? All of that all at once? So exciting. Dr. Melissa Corley Carter, the Barefoot Dancing Rocket Scientist, helps rockstar humans reclaim their power, own their awesomeness, and take giant leaps of faith. An actual rocket scientist, seven continents marathoner, astronaut reject, speaker, award winning author, retired Air Force officer, and certified professional coach, Melissa will inspire you to celebrate the power of who you are and ignite your passion for the life you live. Oh my gosh, Melissa, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're so welcome, Kelly. And thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, we first talked and just completely geeked out. Um, my very good friend Adam Dickinson introduced us, and I adore him. He's like the perfect connector. He really has connected me with so many, heart-led, soul-driven people. And I know when he sends somebody my way, it's going to be an amazing conversation. And then we spoke, and I was like, oh my gosh, tell me more. I'm just so curious. So you've got a lot, it's a mixed bag for you, a lot of different things put together. And I think the first thing that strikes me, besides the fact rocket scientists, Air Force, marathoner on seven continents, barefoot running, dancing, all of that. The one thing that you have in your bio is being an astronaut reject. And I think that's so interesting because I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, putting it that way, you're like, yeah, this is also one of the awesome things about my life experience.
Yes. And I love it. It actually makes me laugh. And I love that it stands out because it really is one of the, for me, a pivotal life experience that was devastating at the time, but has turned into such a beautiful gift in so many ways. So I love celebrating it. I love celebrating that that path didn't work out because I was actually meant for a different path.
Mm-hmm.
So that's so I just we could there's a million different directions we could go there, but yeah, so but I'll say I'll just like right off the bat being told I wanted to be an astronaut for 20 years, followed the journey, did all the things, got my PhD, blah blah blah, and then I had always had bad eyesight, and but I trusted that they would eventually start allowing corrective eye surgery, which they did, and I got LASIK, and I was finally qualified to apply in 2012, and I applied. And you have, when you're in the Air Force, you have to apply, or the military, you have to apply to the military first before you can get to NASA. So I applied to the Air Force board. The Air Force sent me forward, yay! And then I found out that once my medical record got to NASA, they said that my pre-LASIK eyesight was so bad that I was disqualified anyway. So
Man.
that it was, yes, it was super crushing. And the funny thing is though that I call that my dark night of the soul. And yet
Mm-hmm.
I actually read something within the past couple of years that was just illuminating. It said the dark night of the soul is not actually the dark night of the soul. It's the dark night of the ego and the healing of the soul, which is what I have really found happened. So,
Mm-hmm.
so then there's a long kind of journey, and what I realized is when you really dig into what you want in a goal that has been rejected or an identity that has completely shattered, when you really dig into the goal behind the goal, as I call it, and find out what you really wanted, there's a million ways to achieve that, and it doesn't have to take the one aspect. So for me, I realized, through not the next day, but through years of processing and living, continuing to live life and all the things, that what I really wanted in being an astronaut was to inspire people to greatness the way astronauts had
Mm-hmm.
always inspired me. And that I also had this instinctive knowing of my spiritual connection to the universe. And what better than, being in space felt like a way to fulfill that. And then also the vision of a unified and harmonious world. The astronauts go up and they always say, you can't see the borders. I mean, we just had Artemis 2, and they're looking back at Earth, and just all the love pouring out. And oh my gosh, we're all one on this tiny little ball going through the universe. And so all of that really captured my imagination. But all of those things I get to do every day, and I don't need to be an astronaut for it.
Hmm.
So hence celebrating being an astronaut reject, because it actually put me on a path that was even more aligned with my true soul and my true being.
Oh, I love that so much. And yeah, I think what I love so much, there's been a lot of divisiveness, especially recently, if you live in the United States. But that group of humans who went and looked out at the earth were such ambassadors for the planet. I was like, if we could send anybody out into space, let's send some ambassadors who are
Mhm.
truly living and embracing love and gentleness and kindness and compassion and awe and wonder and like stopping to be like, holy moly, look at that. This is just this sphere in the middle of nothing with
Mhm.
all of this life and, the full dichotomy of the good and the bad and the ugly and the wonderful and and the insane and just that I felt so moved by their approach. Yeah, so I love that you're saying that and I'm really curious and interested. I love what you said about the dark night of the soul being more connected to an ego death versus like you going through something difficult. It's a healing for the soul and the soul being able to actually come through. So I love that, and I'm sort of mentally chewing on that right now.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, I love it because it's sort of it's not the way we typically think of the dark night of the soul. And but I think what I have found, and I feel like a lot of people who've gone through something, an identity crisis or some kind of earth-shattering experience, it doesn't feel like it in the moment, but eventually you do discover that it is such a beautiful gift. And it is a beautiful gift because it opens up your soul to a higher purpose.
Hmm. And what do you feel like? What was the first thing after the rejection, after you sort of went through that process, felt into the soul healing, what did you feel like you needed to do next? Like what was the what were you guided towards next?
What I was really guided to was embracing the the side of my nature that loved people. I had been in this
Mm,
engineering career field, and I my path in the Air Force at the time was going kind of higher up the ladder of being a program manager and acquisition. I was an acquisitions professional, we call it. And honestly, I did not I didn't enjoy that. I loved the parts of my job that I loved were calling someone into my office and asking them questions like what really made them tick. What if you weren't doing this job, what would you be? That was my favorite question, was what would, if the money and
mm,
time and whatever were no object, what would you be doing? And I got answers like I would be running a brewery, and I would be a ski bum in Tahoe or whatever. And it was just so interesting, the dreams that people had. So what it opened me up to was really kind of putting me on the path to becoming a coach. I
mm,
eventually left active duty Air Force and became a reservist. And then in my reserve job, I was able to teach leadership and professional development. And then I started my coaching business and got certified as a coach. So it really opened up my holding space for and doing my own kind of healing process, and then holding space for other people in their journeys, and really helping people along the way discover who they really are and really get in
mm-hmm,
touch with their own souls.
mm-hmm. Oh, I love that so much. And I agree with you. It's like, can we just talk about something else? I would, like people come in and you're like, I don't want to talk about like what's going on with work. Like, tell me about you. Like,
Right.
what are your dreams? Where do you want to go? Like, what would you be
Hmm.
doing? I
Hmm.
think we sort of can lose that connection to what we might call youthful folly and
Hmm.
like the craziness of being 21 and being like, I want to own a brewery. And people are like, you need to get a job and
Right.
make some money and buy a house and, all the things that we've been conditioned to,
Hmm.
work towards in our lives. But then
Yes.
for many of us, you get all of those things and you go like, huh, this is it, huh? This
Right. Right. It's
doesn't
like,
feel so exciting.
why am I not as happy as I thought I would be? I got the
Yeah.
the house and the job and the kids and the picket fence and the this, that, and the other, the things we're told that we're supposed to want, and it really doesn't, it's not all it's cracked up to be if you're not connected to
No.
your soul.
Mm. So one of the other things we have in common is an obsession. Well, I have an obsession with human design. I don't know if you would categorize yourself as obsessed, but
I do love it.
I
I do love it. I geek out on
yeah,
it.
I know you're super, super knowledgeable, particularly in quantum human design. And I would love to spend some time talking about how you've really embraced it in your own special way, and how you've developed a seven-part process for how leadership and human design overlap. So, first of all, tell us your human design and where and when the bug bit you. And then I
Mhm.
want to go into talking more about your particular approach to it.
Absolutely, yeah. So for human design, I am a 6-2 emotional generator, what we'd say in traditional human design language. In quantum human design language, that would be a creative alchemist. So alchemist is the quantum human design name for a generator, and the creative center is the emotional solar plexus.
Mm.
So that's the overarching design. Oh, and then my incarnation cross is the cross of spirit, which is also the cross of faith in quantum human design. And so the first time I heard about human design, I had actually just started as an entrepreneur, and I was in my very first little business summit. The little summits that are like there's 20 speakers and they all do their little thing and they have their little free gift. And so this is the first time I had experienced that. This is 2017. And Karen Curry Parker was one of the ones, and she had the human design little gift. And so I got my human design chart, and it was so funny. I remember being kind of annoyed when I saw my chart because it said I was a generator. And then when it talks about the types, it said the generator was the most common. And I was like, man, I thought I was special. I was like, why am I the most common one? and and then also it said that my emotional theme was frustration. And I was, of course, frustrated about that being my theme. I was like, what? Oh, so it sort of like got under my skin a little bit, and I didn't really do anything else with it, but it was interesting because I eventually you start to get a little bit more aligned with what you're doing, and then I start unsubscribing from all the things that weren't were no longer aligned. And so because when you do the first summit, you sign up for everybody's list, and then interestingly enough, I could never quite bring myself to unsubscribe from Karen's list, even though I never I just deleted the emails, but there was something about it. I never unsubscribed. And then in 2020, actually before even the pandemic, I was for some reason I opened one of the emails,
Mm.
and it was talking about something she was just starting to do, called the MAP program, which I think was the Master Alignment Program, and she was incorporating the quantum alignment system, which incorporates emotional freedom techniques and tapping into into human design in general. But she was kind of really ramping up with the quantum human design. So as you know, obviously, human design kind of came through Ruhu, and Karen was one studied with him, and then started putting together sort of a higher vibration language version of the traditional human design that was kind of more, even more where we're going. Like traditional human design was a wake up call to humanity, and quantum human design is more of a even more like what amazingness is possible.
Hmm.
And I found that language really resonated with me. I did the MAP program, and found the power of tapping and the integration of the emotional freedom techniques with quantum human design. I was like, I'm all in, and like immediately signed up to get certified in all the levels of quantum human design and all the levels of quantum alignment system. And that's when I really kind of started super geeking out on it. So I think for me, it was actually really waiting for the quantum language. I think maybe it was
Hmm.
and obviously like that was the point of the traditional language. It was supposed to poke you, and wake you
Hmm.
up a bit. But I did really resonate with the quantum language, and so kind of jumped in from there. And then so as far as then the way I use it now, actually this actually happened, gosh, several years ago. What I ended up doing was because through my coach training program, I learned a modality called energy leadership, which is a really amazing system. It's a 7-level framework basically for shifting your energy and perspective in any moment or situation. So like having 7 pairs of glasses, and anytime anything happens, you can look at it through each of those 7 pairs of glasses and then choose which one you want. which one you want to look at it from. So we can talk a little bit more about that if we get there. But basically, what I did was think about all the gates in the quantum human design system and the 64 gates, and said, all right, what does it feel like through each of the 7 levels of energy leadership? So when in the quantum human design and human design, we tend to learn kind of the low expression and the high expression. Like, what does it look like out of alignment? What does it look like in alignment? And I basically tried to refine kind of the spectrum in between. So here's what a level 1 of this gate looks like. Here's what a level 2 looks like, go up through level 7, and did that for all 64 gates. And every time the sun changes gates, I send that out. So I send it out to my email list. For like 2 years, I posted it on social media too. And then I got tired of doing all the social media posts. So now yeah. So if you want that, you have to sign up for my email list. But anyway, so I have that. And then I also, when I do sort of in-depth human design with someone, I'll actually send them sort of a PowerPoint of all the gates that are defined in their chart. I'll give them my kind of the synthesis, the energy leadership version of each of the gates. So yeah, so it was really fun to really think about both systems together and sort of synergize them and bring them together.
I love that so much. Love a framework. I love
Absolutely.
I'm one of those people. I told you I'm a 1-3 manifesting generator. So I have to do all the research and the deep dive. So I'm like, all right, I need to find all the books that I need. I have so many, and some of them I had in Kindle version. I'm like, I need to get the physical book because I want to be able to like flip through and look at everything. And my recent purchase is I can't remember the name of the woman that wrote with him, but it's a book based on Ra Uru, who it's like everything soup to nuts. But I was really particularly interested in the line numbers, the 1 through 6 for each. And like, because like you, I'm obsessed with tracking the transits and looking at like, how does that impact me or other people, or I'm currently coming through my Chiron return. So I'm always fascinated in like, what is actually happening and where are things lighting up and what is the opportunity there? And I really love that you saw that as well. Like, yes, like frustration, annoying. And I'm also, it's anger and frustration for me because I'm manifesting generator. So I get to have all the things, but, but
I have another comment on that, but please continue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go. I'll jump
I
back in.
interrupted you.
It's okay. I told you I have a fully open head and ajna, so I'm open to all the journeys.
Yeah, well, actually, first of all, speaking of the books, I know Karen ended up writing an encyclopedia of quantum human design, which is sort of my go-to. I love it. I love it. But you bringing up the frustration and stuff reminded me that actually when I reconnected with it in quantum human design, I actually became so grateful that I was a generator, that I was the most common type, because the key aspect of that is having the defined sacral center and that you have sustainable energy. And I was like, oh, thank God, I don't have to, wait for like, obviously you still have to wait to respond and all this kind of stuff. But it was the sustainable energy piece. I was like, okay, no, that's really good. And then the frustration, when I learned what that really meant, was that you have this stair-step learning curve, and frustration can be the building of momentum for a new surge in mastery. And so it could either be an indicator that maybe you're kind of done with the path you're going on, or also you're just building momentum. So it's not doesn't mean that you feel frustration all the time. It just means, how do you listen to the message of your frustration in an intelligent way?
Yes.
And then that having that sustainable energy was super key. So I was like, oh my goodness, I love my design. I'm so excited about my design. So yeah, sorry, but I feel like I interrupted you back there a little bit.
No, I appreciate that so much because I'm always want to learn more about it. Yeah, I feel that too. And when I talk to people about it, I'm like, don't get so hung up on like, am I satisfied or frustrated? And it's more so like that might be your initial impulse. Oh, like something. I love to call it an indicator too, because for me, like I'm a total numbers geek. I love outcomes measurement. I love looking at those kinds of things. So like looking at the data and the indicators, and being able to say like, I'm feeling, yes, maybe it's like the top of it is frustration, but like, what is it that I'm feeling out of alignment with? What is it? And like, if I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like really exhausted, everybody wants something from me. I'm like, well, shoot, there's the 40 showing up.
Yep,
Like,
absolutely.
are you maybe overgiving? And then like recognizing this was very healing for me. And I don't know if this was part of your journey as well, but recognizing those patterns, right? And being able to see it for that's just how I get information about what's happening in my life right now. And there's nothing inherently wrong. I didn't do anything bad. It's just that's how I get information in my body. That's how my body operates. And for me to do the best with the life that I have and to achieve what my soul wanted to come here for, sometimes we kind of butt up against some friction and some things that aren't working so that we can work through that. And I think what you said earlier about really that dark night of the soul, and I've had many of them, is more about letting your soul come through and burning away those parts of your ego that aren't working for you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Like you said, it's all information. It's not, there is no
Mm-hmm.
good or bad. There's no doing anything wrong. It's, I find especially when people kind of learn their human design, it's interesting because it's not really earth-shatteringly new for them. It's just they
No.
recognize themselves in what they learn, but it's sort of like a normalization. They're like, "Oh, I thought there was something wrong with me because of this, but oh, you're telling me that's actually part of my design." And so it's again how you move through the world and what kind of rises above your threshold of paying attention, like what is it
Mm-hmm.
that trips your attention and energy, and so
Mm-hmm.
learning kind of maybe like what kind of themes are a focus for you.
Yeah. I think the thing that I like sort of crossed my arms over, I was like, why do I have to be an emotional manifesting generator? And why do I have to have a ratcheting wave? And,
Mhm.
I think for those of us that are emotionally defined, like there have definitely been times in our life where people like pick yourself up, like stop feeling sorry for yourself, or you're being too much, you're too loud, your energy's too high, people can't handle it. And now to realize like when somebody says that, it's so much more about their nervous system
Mhm.
than me being too much and like what feels safe for them energetically. And then instead of being like, oh man, I made somebody upset again, or like something I did was not okay, and I'm just inherently being myself, it's more like, oh, that's interesting. That
Mhm.
person is really having a difficult time managing all this competing information. And then I'm like, ooh, I'd love to see their design. I wonder what's
Mhm.
happening.
Yeah.
I want to like open up and look in the engine. Like, what's really happening in
Mhm.
there?
Yeah.
What is happening? Why are they feeling this? And yeah, my favorite game to play is like if somebody lets me read their design and I know them, like playing the game of like, ooh, can I take some guesses as to what I
Uh-huh.
think they
Absolutely,
are
absolutely.
at a time?
Yeah, yeah. And I think the other thing that I've kind of discovered too is that the people who and it certainly may go up and down a little bit, but the people who think you're too much just there's something wrong with that. They're just maybe not your people. Because
Mm-hmm.
the people who really value the real you are want the massive amount of energy that you're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
also an indicator of who are my people, who's here for me, who am I here for? And because we're not here for, I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, yes, we're all one. We're, truly believe that, and we're here to, bring love and energy and vibration to the entire planet. And there's certain people that are kind of meant to be in our inner circle or in our service window,
Mm-hmm.
as it were,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you do get to kind of choose the ones that really resonate the most, or just observe which ones resonate, and choose to work with the ones who really do resonate with you, not the ones who are like, oh, you're too much or you're not enough or whatever. Like there's other people out there for them.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. So right now, as we're recording, in the transits in the sun is the 27. Would
Mhm.
you be open to playing with the 27 through your lens and your 7 step leadership framework?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, yes. So the 27 in quantum human design is the gate of accountability. So actually, remind me, I actually never really learned the traditional human design name. So what is the traditional name for it? Do you know?
Nurturing.
Nurturing. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, interesting. That's the quantum name for the gate 50 in quantum human design. Anyway, and those are a channel, the 2750. That's interesting.
Oh,
Ooh,
interesting.
yeah. So 27 is accountability. So the way through energy leadership, the way this works is it goes from level 1 to level 7, kind of in rising levels of consciousness and awareness. Now, one of the
Hmm.
big things that also energy leadership focuses on is there is no good or bad, there is no right or wrong. So while level 1 and level 2 might sound particularly ick, yeah, there's
Hmm.
a time and a place, and the point is about learning to use your energy consciously versus letting it
Hmm.
reacting by default. So you can choose your response. You can choose to respond with maybe a little bit more combative energy consciously versus defaulting to it, if that makes sense. So the level 1 energy is sort of like victim mode. It's sort of the world always happens to me and woe is me. So the level 1 interpretation of accountability is I hold no one accountable. Everyone kind of goes off and does their thing, and it kind of never works for me. But I'm not holding anyone accountable. Like whether I don't have the energy, there's a lot of burnout and self-judgment in level
Hmm.
1. So
Hmm.
just don't have the energy to make anything happen. Level 2 is more of a fighter energy. So level 2 is I hold you accountable and blame you when things don't go my way.
Oh.
So, so yeah, so it's a more of a it's a season. So in the win lose spectrum, level 1 is I always lose. In
Hmm.
level 2, I win, and for me to win, you have to lose. So it's the classic
Mm.
win lose scenario, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Level 3 is more of an I win, and if you win too, that's okay. But it's more of a
Mm.
rationalizing energy. So it's saying I hold myself accountable, and I'm learning, how to stand up for myself and basically like take the steps I need to take to live the life I'm trying to live, if that makes sense. So I'm holding
Hmm.
myself accountable, but there can be a little bit. It sounds helpful, but there's more. Sometimes we stop and settle at level 3, like taking responsibility, right? You
Hmm.
sometimes rationalize, find the silver lining, but there's still sort of like this sucks, but I can see my way through it, and I can figure out how to deal with it and cope with it.
Totally.
Level 4 of accountability is I help you hold yourself accountable. So
Mm.
this become level 4 is a kind of a caregiving energy. This is a my win is your win, and really kind of getting into some caretaker helpful energy. The challenge here is that you still sort of see things as problems and things that need to be fixed, and sometimes can like jump in to fix someone, even
Hmm.
if they haven't asked for it or if they really don't need fixing. But so there is a lot of helpful energy here. And I'll swing back to the kinds of energy after we finish the levels. But and so yeah, so it's I'm help you hold yourself accountable. Level 5 is we everyone holds themselves accountable, and we
Mm.
all hold ourselves accountable together.
Hmm.
So there is a like a teamwork energy here, a synergy. And you actually said that the classic level 5 phrase earlier. What's the opportunity here? Level 5 is
Mm.
always finding opportunity, and it kind of inherently taking responsibility for your own energy and trusting that everyone else will take responsibility for themselves. So there is
Right.
nothing that needs to be fixed. There is nothing that's broken. We're just we're harnessing our own powers and working together. There's a huge collaborative energy here.
Hmm.
And then level 6 and 7 tend to be the most esoteric for people who are not at all familiar with this kind of thing. And it's funny, the reactions I've gotten when I start describing level 6 and level 7 is people's reactions are pretty funny. That's so level 6 is we are all perfectly accountable for wherever we are on the journey. This is
Hmm.
everything is awesome. Basically, everything is always and not in I'm never sad or upset or anything like that, but every emotion you experience as a human, every part of the human experience is beautiful, and there's this deep underlying
Mm.
sense of peace and joy. So,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing needs to be done really. Everyone is always accountable,
Mm,
and to where they are in the unfolding of their most powerful path, as it were.
right.
Yeah. And then level 7 is a true beingness energy. So when I actually do my gates, they always end with whatever the gate is, I am accountability.
Mm,
So there's just a true, I am is the energy of level 7.
mm,
And so sometimes that feels very, okay, what do I do with that? What does that, how does that help? And so the practical aspect of level 7 is actually being able to sort of tap into consciously all the other levels. So the more you kind of learn to access the we call more anabolic versus catabolic energy. So level 1 and
mm,
level 2 are called catabolic energy, which is the
mm,
like the natural processes in your cells. That's a breaking down kind of energy, and anabolic is a building, constructive energy, which again doesn't mean catabolic is bad. Both processes happen in nature and they are important. But the challenge is if you live all the time in catabolic energy, which in fact the world operates in catabolic
mm,
energy. And so it's sort of this is the leading edge of consciousness where we are learning to live and bring in more anabolic energy to build something different for the future. But anyway, the more kind of anabolically you start to see every experience, the more conscious access you have to all the other levels. So there might be a time where like, all right, it's time to exercise my level 2 energy here, but I'm choosing to do it. I'm choosing to do it in a way that is effective, not just
mm,
defaulting to it again because that's all I know how to do. And I don't know how to,
mm-hmm.
it controls me versus I control it and I use it effectively, if that makes
Mm.
sense. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so I know that was kind of the accountability one. I also have a traffic example. I love to do the traffic for all the 7 levels, but let me pause and say what comes up for you as we go through that with accountability?
I feel like all of the A plus gold star students in the room are like, but I have to be at a 6 and 7, Melissa.
Right.
I have to get to that 6 and 7. Like, what is that? Is that the ultimate goal to exist in the 6 and 7? Is that sort of like working towards the Siddhic state? If you look at the through the lens of the gene keys, the shadow, the gift, and the Siddhic state.
Right. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And no, actually it's not. So for all the A plus gold star students who I totally, resonate with that, been there, done that. It is not, the goal is not to just kind of race up to level 6 and 7 and hang out there. Because
Mm-hmm.
in fact, that incidentally, the Bruce Schneider, who is the one who kind of who brought this system into the world, I did a little talk for us once that he was saying that his interpretation was that actually level 6 was the ideal state of being, that you actually don't necessarily, and sorry, that also take that aside, it's not the ideal state of being for every single person. I'm just saying his ideal was 6 and not 7 particularly, because 7 is actually hard to live in the real world. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the benefit of level 7 is being able to tap into that energy. It's a perfectly creative energy where you can create whatever you want instantaneously. You can think of it as basically being connected to the cosmic field, right? The infinite
Mm-hmm.
field of possibilities, and being able to pull whatever you want out of the field. Which is awesome, but it's hard to relate to other humans, if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing that all the time. Nobody actually resonates at level 7 all the time. It's an
Mm-hmm.
energy you tap into and an energy you use. So level 6, if you can learn to, and I find that you don't necessarily force yourself into level 6. What I find is the more consciously you practice levels 1 through 5, which are what I would call the most practical and the most recognizable to most people, the more you really practice distinguishing between them and learning to kind of look at things from like 3, 4, and 5, the more 6 and 7 just sort of start to happen. Like you notice you're looking around, you're like, oh, I feel this sense of universal connection. Wow. And that's your 6 and 7. So it's not because as you go up in the levels, everything becomes increasingly non-judgmental. The fact that you would think that you have to get to level 6 and 7 is inherently a lower energy level, right?
The irony.
So feeling like I have to get to level 6 is not level 6 energy.
Got it. Okay. Good to know.
So the point is, again, not to nobody actually goes and sits at a level either. In any moment, you are experiencing a combination of the levels. So you're going to have some six mixed with five and four and three and two and one, and then and some particular situations may bring out more of your level one and level two energies. So other situations might bring out maybe more four, others might be more three or five or whatever. And so learning what they look and feel like and sound like, and then learning to notice what you like. Oh, I felt that level one energy there. What does that tell me? What do I want to do from here? So it's really creating choice points. It's not creating,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I fell into level one and that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Mm-hmm.
now you're in level one about being in level one, right? So you're being judgmental about the state that you're in, which is inherently, again, more lower energy. So it is about giving you choice of, hey, I could choose to stay in this level. I could choose to, look at it from another level and just see what happens. I could choose to respond. So it's really about giving you more level of choice. So I said before, you have these 7 pairs of glasses. It allows you to more consciously choose what pair of glasses feels the most effective and aligned in the moment, for any
Mm.
situation.
That makes me feel like one, we have to slow down a little bit.
Hmm.
Two, we have to be present and aware in the
Yeah.
moment and less, reactive and like jumping into something before we kind of give it some time and really, where am I on this? How
Hmm.
am I, kind of in that blame game?
Hmm.
And is that really resourceful for me right now? Is that where I want to
Right.
be?
Right, exactly. And that's the question. It's not to say an automatic, oh no, I need to get out of this state. It's how is this state serving me? How well is it serving me? And how well will it serve me if I stay in it? And if it doesn't feel good to stay in it, or it doesn't feel aligned, I would say good and bad again are words that are inherently kind of lower vibration, right? Um, uh, if it's not serving me to stay in it, what do I want to do differently? And how then might I take the first tiny little step towards doing that?
Hmm.
So it's
That's very
really,
cool.
it really is, yeah, about the goal isn't to hang out at level six, although you will inherently start to experience more of it as you do this consciously. But the goal is to have more moments where you feel the power of choice and the power to choose your pair of glasses.
Love it. Okay, you said just a few minutes ago, traffic. Tell us how this relates to traffic.
Yeah.
I live in New
So
Jersey, so traffic is like a thing here.
yes. Oh yeah. I lived outside the DC area for 10 years, and oh my gosh, I hear you. It's
Traffic.
beyond ridiculous. So yeah, so level one. So basically you're like heading home from a long day at work, you're sitting in traffic and somebody like cuts you off. And so how you might respond at each of the 7 levels is level one is, this always happens to me. Right? So it's
Mm,
kind of the woe is me
victim.
aspect, victim, yeah. Level two, that MFer, what a jerk. This is the road rage. That's the road rage level. And then level three, phew, at least I didn't get in an accident. So you're like, oh, okay. This is the I win, right? Like you're rationalizing, okay, I didn't get in an accident. Level four, gosh, I wonder if they're rushing to the hospital. I hope they're okay. Right? And then level five is, what's the opportunity here? Right? Always finding opportunities. So it could be, I could listen to more of my podcast. I could notice my hands on the steering wheel. I get all the things. Like how can I actually like use this opportunity? And then level six is I am always guided to the perfect people in the perfect times and the perfect places for the highest unfolding of my potential. So, what a cool experience.
Hmm.
And then level seven is I am the other person. I am everyone gathered here in this illusion called traffic that we created to describe the experience of consciousness as a human. And again, the I am energy, just plain I
Mm.
am.
Hmm. Okay, totally relate to that. And I mean, there could be commutes that like all over the
Uh-huh.
spectrum. I could be
Yeah,
anywhere
yeah,
from 1 to 7 at any point in time. But
yeah.
I think the idea, a few years ago, I started to realize like how much time I spent like stressed and like
Mhm.
rushing and
Mhm.
frustrated and, in my commute. And I was like, I'm totally missing the point here. Like, this is such an opportunity. I'm in my car. I could listen to a book. I could listen to a podcast. I could listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
alone time, like
Mm-hmm.
on my commute, looking at the trees and the sky and birds and, like having that moment. And I love exactly what you said. I think it was the four where like somebody cuts you off and like, oh my gosh, I hope they're okay. Like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I will even say to people, I hope that everything's okay. I'm sending you really good energy because if you're behaving in such a manner, I have to believe that there's something else going on for you.
Yeah.
Sending a little
1,000%.
compassion.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's beautiful. And it's funny because, I one some of I've shared this a lot. I've done a lot of workshops and all this kind of stuff on this topic. And it's funny that kind of everything from people they've like done that, and then people like, I've never had that thought in my entire life. Like what like what if they're rushing to the hospital? So,
Right. You're like, no, I'm like, what is wrong with you? And I mean, you will definitely hear that come out of my mouth. What is wrong with you? What are you doing? I don't
mhm.
understand.
But the other cool thing is that there is actually an assessment called the Energy Leadership Index assessment that where
Mhm.
you it's an online thing where you answer a whole bunch of questions, and it actually gives you a snapshot of your kind of average resonating level of energy and like where you are in all the levels under normal circumstances, and then also when you're under stress. So you actually get two little bar graphs that are like, here's your energetic profile, here's your normal mix of the seven levels of energy, and then here's your stress reaction, your mix of the seven levels of energy, and then there's sort of like a number averaging kind of all those together. And but it's a
Mm.
snapshot in time, so it's not like Myers-Briggs or human design that's like sort of
Right.
supposed to be set for your life. It's
Right.
like you get that assessment, and then you get to choose, do you want to practice habits that can help you shift that? Again, it's all choice
Mm.
based, right? Because it's not like,
Mm.
oh, there's something wrong with this, with your snapshot right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
how do
Mm-hmm.
you feel about the snapshot? Do you want to do something differently? And maybe you do some practices, and you take it a year later, and it might look different.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's pretty cool too.
Well, I like that. That feels like a standardized assessment. You get like a, which is like speaking to my OT brain, like doing testing, like I do testing and
Mhm.
like it's just an indicator of where we are right now, but we can come back
Mhm.
again and see where we've been able to implement some things and shift and show some
Absolutely.
signs of growth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. Yeah. So it's a cool kind of quantifiable in some ways. Like to quantify energy is pretty amazing. And then to be able to do something effective with it. Yeah.
I love that. That's like totally speaking to my 1-3. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Let's go take a test. Um, but I'm mindful of your time. And I really want to finish up with, can you share with us what you're up to right now, how people can find you, and anything else you'd like to celebrate and invite people into?
Yes, thank you. So where I am right now, actually, I'll say human design wise, where I am, I'm 6'2", and then the six line profile has a three-phase life cycle, as you know. And but for anyone listening, there is a three-phase life cycle going on there. And I'm in the middle phase, which is called being on the roof. So there's sort of like the first third of life that's all out there doing all the things and adventuring and learning all the lessons. And then there's this integration phase. They call it being on the roof because it's sort of like you're on the roof, like watching what other people are doing, and just it's kind of a very integrative time. And so I have a little over 4 more years on the roof, and then it's amazing because I actually do feel like that's where I am. And the other thing about the sixth line is, that feels kind of magical to me is the point of the sixth line is a bit of a, so the traditional name is the role model, and the quantum name is the adept. It's like you're really learning how to live your most aligned and authentic life, and then just kind of quietly showing people how to do it. You're modeling the way of what
Mm-hmm,
that life
mm-hmm.
looks like. And for me, that actually feels like where I am. So I just retired from the Air Force last September and moved. My husband and I have been planning our kind of forever home. We've been building our forever home in North Carolina, and just really visioning what life would be like. And we moved here last summer, and it really feels like I mean, I felt like I was already living the dream in that I was, living aligned with my values and this and the other thing, but there was this kind of creation phase, and we're still in it, but feeling every day just kind of in awe of what we've created. So moving here, being in a completely different place, it's kind of like in the mountains, in the woods. There's houses around, obviously, but like it feels a lot more connected to nature. It feels a lot more on my own rhythm. Like when you're speaking of traffic in Virginia outside the DC area, we would get up at 3:30 in the morning because that's what one did to get to work before the rush and then be able to get home before the even so for years we got up at 3:30 and now we're getting up at sunrise and I go outside at sunrise to get my morning light and my bare feet on the earth and all this and the other thing and so really living literally living the dream, being the dream, and I think really role modeling what an aligned life looks like. And then I am coaching, I'm helping people, through their own journeys, but it's kind of on my terms at this point. And it's, I mean, it feels like a huge blessing to, have the resources to be able to do that. And so where I'm doing the coaching. The best place to find me is at my website, epiclifeactually.com. And then I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn at Melissa Corley Carter. And I share, so I wrote a book about running marathons on all 7 continents. And I have a wisdom card deck that is a companion deck that I am drawing cards from every week. So those are also kind of like doing card draws with people is something that really lights me up. People love it. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So really just inviting people into the energy of alignment is really what I'm here for. And my, I've done a lot of kind of mission defining work over the years, and it's gotten shorter and shorter and shorter. My mission is such that where I've gotten, and I actually kind of combine it with vision to be this sense of glorious purpose, which is to shine my light and inspire you to shine yours. That is at its most fundamental what I'm here for, and so that's what I'm doing, and what I would love to do with others as well.
I love that. Would you feel open to pulling a card? And maybe I'll pull a card too. And maybe let's set the intention, like for whoever is listening, for the audience, like a card from your deck, and I'll let you pick which one we should pull from my growing collection. And then those cards can be meant for whoever is listening.
I love that. I love that. What a beautiful intention. Yes. Thank you, Kelly. Yes. So let's do that. I will. So yeah, this is my deck here. And so
it's so gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. So yeah, it's a lot of decks have kind of like the same cover on one side and then like a thing, and then you go to a booklet. I would say I'm a lazy card deck person. So if I have to go to the book, I won't read
Gotcha.
So my sister gave me a deck that had the picture on the front and the words on the back, which I really like. So that's how I created my deck. So each one has a different photograph from the 7 continents, and then it has the message on the back. So
nice.
yeah, so that's how I did it. So I will just bring the cards to my heart and ask to be guided to the message that you listening that actually most wants to speak to you as you listen. And shuffle the cards. Right. Interesting. Okay. So this is an interesting one with energy leadership. So this is perspective. So you can see this is the Great Wall of China. And I'm not sure if it kind of comes through in the video, but it kind of looks like this is a wall, but it's not. It's actually steps. So the message of perspective is, what do you see when you look at this photo? At first glance, you may see an impenetrable wall. Shift your perspective just a little, and this wall becomes a navigable passage. Shifting perspective reveals that this is not a wall at all, but a series of steps. It may be a steep and challenging climb, but there's a way up and over. What seemingly impenetrable wall looms ahead in your life? What perspective shift would turn that wall into a series of small steps? You don't have to believe the new perspective. Just imagining a potential alternate viewpoint creates more space in your energy field. As more options and choices present themselves, you expand what's possible in your life. Don't wait until you fully believe. Start with one small step. What perspective can you shift today?
Ooh, I love that. That's a great journaling one. Okay. They're all vying for my attention back here. So let's see. I've got some of my newest decks. I'll pull those out. Let's see.
Wow, that's a lot of
I
nuance.
know.
I love it.
Just this year, just this year.
Okay.
So I've got the White Light Oracle,
Ooh,
which I got
love
this year
it.
because my word of the year is light weaving. So I was like, I need something
Ooh,
with some light.
beautiful, beautiful.
This is the Shadowscapes Tarot. These pictures are phenomenal. They're so
Uh-huh,
pretty. Uh,
awesome.
the Tarot of Curious Creatures.
Interesting. Okay.
And
Uh-huh.
then my friend Francine Terrell just put out her deck of oracle cards, and it's from Busy to Being.
Ooh, ooh. I'm feeling pulled to the busy to being or the white light because of your light weaving word. So between those two, which one would you pick?
I mean, we could also do one for each if we need
That's a good
to.
idea. Let's do
Let's pull
that.
one and see if we feel like we want more than that. So yeah, I love these cards, and I'll show you. They have just the most beautiful.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful.
So, and the guidebook gives you ideas and, insights and journaling and, things to do for yourself. So, all right. So, we're going to feel into listener, what do you need to hear right now regarding your light? Okay. So, we've got Shaktipat of Seahorse,
Oh, wow.
which
Nice.
I've pulled before, number 31. So probably I've underlined the important stuff because that's what I like to do.
Awesome.
All right. So let's see.
And
All
let
right.
me ask, what does Shaktipat mean?
I will explain that.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a transmission of grace.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So as you embrace your inner essence, you will be at peace with who you are, including your vulnerability, and no longer see the need to conform to social ideals which have no true resonance for your heart. You are encouraged to trust your intuitive recognition of which environments and relationships harmonize well with you, supporting your spiritual growth and well being on all levels. You have the innate capacity to manifest. Relax, and you shall attract all you need. So it's really about that trust and being in environments that are good for our well-being, kind of like what you were saying earlier about like choose your people wisely. This oracle assures you that your path and what supports you will be unique. If you attempt to fit into social constructs or cliques that don't reflect your essence, you'll weaken yourself and become more susceptible to negativity. So this one is just gorgeous. I've pulled it before, and what I really love about this card is that in with the seahorse, you see that little spiral.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm remembering correctly, it kind of goes with your third eye, that kind of idea of like having that insight, that spiral. I've been seeing a lot of spirals lately, which is interesting.
That is, yeah.
So
It's so life is like a spiral, right? We think, oh, we should have learned that lesson by now, and why do we keep coming back to it? Well, it is a spiral, and you've learned. They say what, same devil, new level, and you're just experiencing it from you actually have learned, but now you are experiencing it in a different way, and you have some more, maybe it's a little bit more unpacking to do, and meeting it in an even newer energy.
I love that. So my friend Francine Terrell, who is Forever Changed Coaching, she created this deck, and similar to what you did, you've got like all these beautiful colors. So you could pick a color, you can pick a card, and then there's a little something. So there's a little something on both sides. So we'll pull something for you, listener. Don't you feel special that you're commuting or doing laundry or dishes and listening to this podcast and getting a 3-card pull for the price of admission to the podcast? Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So the front of it says, who you are being matters more than what you're doing. We talk a lot about what we do, but who are you being? Allow your being to guide what you do. And these are also just beautiful cards, color-wise.
Yes. Oh, that is beautiful. I love it. I love it.
So yeah. So
That's
listener,
huge.
there you go. Be you, be present, and think about perspective. Like, where can you shift perspective? So I think that is good advice for anybody at any time that you're finding this podcast episode. Hopefully, there's something in that message there for you, and in the beautiful things that Melissa has shared with us about her journey, her approach to those 7 levels of leadership as it applies to human design. And of course, in seeing the kind of life that you've lived, Melissa. I mean, we didn't even get into the barefoot dancing, the running marathons on 7 continents, or like being like, just being in the Air Force, getting your doctorate, all those things. You've certainly been doing a lot of things, but yeah, I would love to just allow you to just give us one last piece of wisdom or advice before we close out the podcast.
I think it really dovetails from the being, because that is, I have done so much in my life. And one of the biggest things I have learned is that being it's the next level, and you can still do, but it's about who are you being while you're doing. And it is about just plain being. So I love to say that, your epic life and what you're here to give is not about what you do. It's about
Mm,
being you.
mm,
So I just couldn't stress more that it is really, the beingness is really, really powerful. And the other card said to relax. I think that's the other part of it is relax and stop trying to be so much, right? And stop trying to do everything right. Like, even we can get so caught up in trying to be correctly, that
mm-hmm,
we're now making being a doing thing. We're putting it on our to-do list is be.
mm-hmm.
So seriously, just take a deep breath, relax, and trust that you are already doing it because you are already being it.
Mm. Okay. I love that. That's the mic drop moment. Melissa, thank you so much for being here. And listener, we'll put everything in the show notes. I don't know that I can put pictures in the show notes as of the technology today. But when I shared this podcast on social media, I'll be sure to include some of those pictures. And if you want to send me the picture of your card, Melissa, we can stick that in there too, because I think that kind of gives a fun way for people who are finding this through social media a chance to play along.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kelly. It's been such a fun conversation and an honor to be here with you. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening all the way to the end of the podcast. If something you heard today inspired you, please share this with somebody you know who also needs to hear this message. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the podcast. Bye for now.